Hello and good day everyone. My name is Sir Marcy. Our lesson for today is solving quadratic equations by factoring. To solve quadratic equations by factoring, it is necessary for the students to recall factoring polynomials which they already studied in grade 8 mathematics. Only those polynomials of degree 2 will be factored since these are the polynomials that are involved in this lesson. Factor negative 4a squared plus 24a. So again, we factor each term of the polynomial. So we'll start with negative 4a squared. So the factor of negative 4a squared is negative 4a multiplied to a. And the factor of 24a will have negative 4a multiplied to negative 6. Why both negative? Because when you multiply two negative numbers, the product is positive. So, if we multiply negative 4a times negative 6, the product is positive 24a. Since the common monomial factor is negative 4a, then we will factor out negative 4a from negative 4a squared plus 24. So we'll now have negative 4a times the quantity a minus 6. And these are now the factors of negative 4a squared plus 24a. Okay, now it's your turn. Factor negative 6s squared minus 18s. Okay, if your answer is negative 6s multiplied to s plus 3, then you are correct. X squared minus 5x plus 6 is also an example of quadratic trinomial. So first, we factored the first term, x squared, and that is x times x. Then we list all the possible factors of 6. So we write first the bigger factor. So we have here 6 times 1 and 3 times 2. After that, we write or we add the factors of the constant term. So we'll add them. 6 plus 1 is 7 and 3 plus 2 is 5. So notice that our second term in the problem is negative 5. So what are we going to do to get negative 5 from 3 and 2? So we'll make them both negative so that when you add the signs or the negative signs, the sum is always negative. And take note also that adding two positive signs, the sum is always positive. So in this case, to get negative 5, we'll make these two factors both negative. So that if we have negative 3 plus negative 2, the sum is negative 5. Also, when you multiply negative 3 times negative 2, the product is positive 6. So therefore, combining these two, we have here x minus 3 multiplied to x minus 2 gives us the factors of x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay, last example for factoring by quadratic trinomial. So we factor x squared or the first term, that is simply x times x. Next is we factor 12. We'll have 12 times 1. We also have 6 times 2. And we also have 4 times 3. So next step is we will add the factors of our constant term. So we need negative 4. So let's try to figure out. So we'll add first. 12 plus 1 is 13. 6 plus 2 is 8. And 4 plus 3 is 7. Okay, so what do you notice? So we do not have or we do not obtain negative 4. So our next step is if we did not obtain negative 4 from adding, then let's try subtracting. So subtracting the factors of the constant term. So 12 minus 1 is 11. 6 minus 2 is positive 4. And 4 minus 3 is 1. So there is a closer answer. We have 6 minus 2, that is positive 4. Okay, so again let's try to look. 6 minus 2 equals positive 4. How are we going to make this negative 4? So to make it negative, we can factor a squared minus 36 by getting the square root of the two terms. Okay, so the square root of a squared is a, and the solution. So we're going to look for the other root. We have h minus 11 is equal to 0. We will apply addition property of equality. So we'll add both sides of the equation by 11. So bring down h, negative 11 plus 11, that is 0, is equal to 0 plus 11, that is 11. So these are now the roots or solution of h squared minus 11h is equal to 0. Find the solutions of x squared plus 14x plus 49 is equal to 0. The example here is a trinomial with a is equal to 1. So if you factor this equation, it will factor into two binomial factors where the first term will be the factors of x squared. So we have here x squared plus 14x plus 49 is equal to 0. So if we're going to factor x squared, we'll have x. And now we want the factor of c that adds to b, or the factors of 49 that also add to 14. And that is 7 times 7, we have 49. And we also have 7 plus 7, the answer is 14. So both factors are x plus 7 plus x plus 7 is equal to 0. So notice, it is a perfect square trinomial, no? Since we have two equal factors, we can write this as 1. So here, we can write this as 1. That is simply x plus 7 squared is equal to 0. So this equation will only be 0 when that is x plus 7 is equal to 0. So if we subtract 7 on both sides, the solution is x is equal to negative 7. Okay? So normally, in solving quadratic equations, we do expect two solutions. But since it is a perfect square trinomial, we only have one solution, and that is x is equal to 7. Okay, next, find the solutions of a squared plus 3a minus 10 is equal to 0. Again, the equation we have here is already in standard form. So we have a squared plus 3a minus 10 is equal to 0. Next is we're going to factor the quadratic equation. So the factor of a squared is a times a. Next is for the constant term 10, we will list all the possible factors of 10. Okay? By writing the larger number first, followed by the smaller number. So the factors of 10 would be 5 times 2. Next is 10 times 1. So we're going to look for the second term using these factors. Okay, using these factors. So first is we add. So 5 plus 2 is 7 and 10 plus 1 is 11. So notice we didn't um, arrive at positive 3 of our second term. So after we add, then let's try subtracting the factors. So 5 minus 2, that is 3. So that means we're going to use 5 and negative 2 as our factor. So we'll use a plus 5 multiply to a minus 2 is equal to 0. Okay? Then we're going to apply the zero product property. We have a plus 5 is equal to 0 and a minus 2 is equal to 0. So we apply here the zero product property where we set each factor of the quadratic expression equal to 0. Then step number 4, we're going to solve each equation. So we're going to subtract both sides of the equation by negative 5, applying subtraction property. So we have a 5 plus negative 5 is equal to 0. Then 0 plus negative 5 is negative 5. Okay, so the first solution is a is equal to negative 5. Next, we're going to add both sides of the equation by positive 2. Okay, so bring down a, negative 2 plus 2 is 0. Then 0 plus 2 is positive 2. So this is now the second solution. Therefore, the solutions of a squared plus 3a minus 10 is equal to 0 are a is equal to negative 5 and a is equal to positive 2. Okay, find the solution of n squared minus 8n minus 20 is equal to 0. So notice that the equation is already in standard form. So let's proceed with step number 2. So we have n squared minus 8n minus 20 is equal to 0. So we factor the first term. We know that the factors of n squared is n times n. Then we'll list all the factors of 20, okay, by writing the larger number first. So we have here, let's say 5 times 4. We also have 20 times 1 and we have 10 times 2. So after we list all the factors of 20, we're going to look for either the sum or the difference